I'm just using orange shellac here. Could use clear, but orange just makes it a little bit easier to see where I've been. It's got a slightly heavier body too, I think. It's not a terrible idea to hit the end grain more than once, because it does take up a lot of moisture. Now, shellac is not completely impenetrable to oils. However, it's really the best option when it comes to just sort of getting the job done quickly. Oil-based paint would be a better choice, but this is better than doing nothing at all, and so we're going with that. I'm going to apply bedding compound down the whole length for the first piece, and then I'm going to stop there and get it fastened in place. And then we'll worry about the second piece, because I need to glue the scarves along the way. And you want to make sure you have a lot of bedding compound in all of the little nooks or crannies where things can sit. In the flat spots, it's not as important. I'm going to go over this flat spot with a combed squeegee so that we get sort of an even layer of bedding compound on here. I just want to sort of pack this in place, and then I'm going to get a couple clamps in this up here where it really needs to be clamped down properly at the right spot. Okay, so there we go. Okay. Now I'm going to lay out a whole bunch of fastening holes. And I've got this little jig I've made up here, and all this is going to do is it spans the overhang, and it's just going to lay me out a nice consistent fastening line, so all the fasteners end up in a row. Okay, now this is the benefit of taking the time to make those little strips of bones right here. Basically, we just do this. I'm going to make sure all these little keys are popped out of the way. Oops, careful. Okay, let me take a bunch of these. Just dip them in like so. Okay, so now I got a nice little blob of epoxy on all of those. And then I can just position them in line with where they need to go. You're going to get a little bit of material sticking out that you might have to deal with. That's not a big deal. And what's nice is like the strip itself, this doesn't look as neat and tidy as when you're doing it individually, but the strip itself aligns with the grain, obviously. And so it makes it very easy to orient your plugs. You're not spending a pile of time staring at them trying to figure out which direction they should be going. I should be preparing this whole strip better before I start dipping it in glue, obviously. You can see how quickly those went in. If I was doing that individually, I would have taken 3 or 4 times longer for sure. All right, now we can knock the bungs off of here. Trimming plugs is very straightforward. Start with a chisel. You want to knock them off about 1/16 of an inch proud of the surface. So you want to put the bevel of your chisel against the surface that the bung is glued into. You aim a little bit high. You don't know which direction this is going to break. It could break down at an angle towards the hole. You don't want that. I put these in with epoxy. They're a little harder to take down. I'm just going to take them down until I basically hit the glue line. All right, now using a hard sanding stick, I'm going to hit each one of these and just knock them down until I'm almost flush. Follow up with the longboard.
I want to thank all my subscribers for their ongoing support, their comments, their shares, and good wishes. And I also want to thank all of my followers on Patreon whose monthly pledges support this channel. If you can help us on Patreon, I would really appreciate it. There are links in the corner or down in the description.
Okay, we're down to the little final details here. So I could only bring my router out so far on this rub rail here, so I need to finish this off by hand. And the methodology I always use for rounding things over is start with just establishing a bevel to guide you. So I'm splitting the radius, finding the midpoint, and I'm running a bevel down until I match up with the surface of my round over that's over here. Once I get there, then I knock the points off, split that angle again. So now I basically have a section of an octagon right now. Now this is a small enough radius, all I can do is switch over to abrasive, so I'll use some sandpaper to round that out. This is where it helps to leave this trim long, because you get a nicer, smoother, fair line as you round these over. My next job though is going to be to trim this back and establish a round over. Okay, I'm going to knock this trim off now. I'm just going to run my saw flat against the transom to cut this off. Slow down when you start getting near the end of your cut. You don't want it to break out now. Just going nice and gentle. Very, very gentle. There we go. And I can take this little bevel I have on the back side here, I'll just use a sanding stick and just carefully roll it up to meet the transom. This little bevel should just disappear as it hits the transom planking. That looks pretty good. See, now I have to deal with this round over here as well. That's a little trickier. Can't have this too sharp, it'll just get damaged, but at the same time we don't want to round it over too much or else it doesn't look very good. Alright, that looks pretty good. I think I'm happy with that. I'm less concerned about sandpaper marks than I am about shape, because sandpaper marks will disappear under paint, but the shape will transmit right through. Nice. So the last thing we need to do is give these caprails a good going over with sandpaper. The router has left us a very mechanical edge on everything. We want to give it a nice soft organic edge, and that can only be done with hands. Attention to detail and application of the human hand makes all the difference in wood and boat building. So that's it for this week, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. Please join us again next week. We're going to get wacky with the table saw and make bull pins. You don't want to miss that. I want to thank you all for watching, and I want to especially thank everybody on Patreon who helps support this channel. If you can help us out on Patreon, I really appreciate that. Link in the corner, down in the description. Okay, until next time, get out there, get your hands dirty, and I'll see you later.